This is the Morning Tailgate.
Deuce! Goodbye! Into the end zone! 60 yards! Touchdown Raiders!
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, and Clay Baker.
It's the trifecta for Bowers! His third touchdown of the game! And the Raiders with a chance to win it!
On Raider Nation Radio 920.
Fire up the cue! Grab a beverage or two and settle in. This is the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the Silver and Black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore coming to you live from Las Vegas on a Thursday, June 25th, 2026. Connor on the ones and twos. It is match day for the good old U.S. of A. taking on Turkey, yay, in the final group matchup in the World Cup. But guess what? They can lose 15-0 and it won't matter. They're moving on to the knockout stage, baby. So that's good news. So you can celebrate the U.S. of A. today and tonight as they kick off around, I think it's 7 o'clock tonight. I think they're the last of the 6 matches. Welcome in, everybody. Football continues to be the overarching show that we are. But basketball, Vinny, continues to just dominate the last couple days and kind of dominate where we're at. Another massive trade in the National Basketball Association. Was this minutes ago or was this early this morning? This was minutes ago.
It was headed
Minnesota.
there last. Yeah, it was headed there last night. There were a lot of reports coming out last night that this is where it was headed, and it's not official because their new league year starts. I don't know exactly when it starts, to be honest with you, but pretty soon when the opening of free agency and all that good stuff occurs. But it's been agreed upon. I guess they agreed upon it sometime either late last night or early this morning. We are dealing with a time difference back east, but LaMelo Ball basically is heading to the Minnesota Timberwolves, so that'll change the dynamic in Minnesota, and I'm curious whether it's going to be for the good or not, to be quite honest. I love watching LaMelo Ball play, but I do question if you're a championship aspiring team, if he's a serious enough basketball player to win at that level. He's kind of a fun player to watch, a fun player out there doing his thing, and I don't always take it quite seriously if I'm a championship caliber team or if I am a fan of a team that wants to win a championship. So I'm curious how that seriousness that I felt like he was headed in the right direction last year with that seriousness, and I think the Hornets did make the playoffs last year. How's that going to translate to a team that earnestly has championship aspirations in the Minnesota Timberwolves? So maybe getting around Ant is going to serious him up a little bit and say, hey, it's not all about the fun and the fancy passes and all that. It's great. That's great entertainment, but it's about winning now. And is he gonna conform his game now to a winning style of play and to winning aspirations? I'm curious if that's going to be the case.
So that's the newsiest news of the morning in the sports world. But despite the NBA draft coming to a close and the abundance of trades that we have seen in the past 48 hours or so, Vinny, Caitlin Clark continues to kind of dominate the headlines for a number of reasons. I don't know how much you saw or were able to gather from last night's game where she seemingly got punched in the throat, knee downstairs, and there were technicals and things of that nature. Regardless, their head coach, Steph White of the Indiana Fever, finally had enough, went off on an absolute tangent, a tear post-game, defending her player and outwardly saying she is a generational talent, and at some point we need to take care of not only her, but the officiating just in general has been horrendous. It feels like, I don't want to say this is just the time of year because there's not a lot happening, because that would be a disrespect to what is happening. I just think the timing of it is Caitlin Clark is back in the headlines, and it is it's fascinating to see this unfold, because I can't recall a superstar of that ilk that is viewed as one of, if not the best player in their league, getting, I guess, I don't want to say the lack of calls, but just complete the other way. Just calls being just she's taking punishment unlike anybody we've ever seen. Is that fair?
Yeah, I guess so. I think it's all great for the league, to be honest with you. And if she kind of has to be the recipient of non-calls and things like that, and I think they are going to get that cleaned up. I think the more her coach and people come out and the video shows that there's some shenanigans going on, let's put it that way, that are being either ignored over not seen, with inept officiating, or just officials that are just quite honestly, pretending like they didn't see it. All of it, and I think they will get that cleaned up, but all of it, to me, Vince, in a perverse kind of crazy way, is great. It's great because people talk about it, and you see it on Twitter. You see everybody, with all their opinions, good, bad, and indifferent for one side or the other. You see the reaction on Twitter, and I'm a firm believer that at this stage of the WNBA, it's all about growth. It's all about eyeballs. It's all about people, checking in for whatever reason, whatever the motivation might be. If this leads to more fans one way or another, it's all good for the WNBA. So more controversy, the better. I don't care, to be honest with you. She's going to be fine. They're gonna make some whatever. With the coach coming out like this now, more officials will be on alert for these types of things. And so like I said, in a weird kind of a way, and I don't agree with what happened to her. I think that player should be there should be some discipline
Alyssa
against the
Thomas.
player.
Yep.
Yeah. And it sounds like she has a little bit of a history of being a dirty player. I don't want to jump out there too far because I'm not too familiar, but at least based on what I've seen on social media, she's quote unquote a dirty player. So there's that. But again, we're talking about it, and a lot of people are talking about it, and I'm sure it's going to dominate ESPN and all the sportscasts and all that kind of stuff because it is controversial, and it is the top player in the league, and Caitlin Clark. And
I guess it's just weird because it's not players playing hard against her. It almost feels like there's players playing with hate against her. It's
jealousy. It's jealousy.
But my question is, and I've been trying to rack my brain since last night, and granted this happened last night, so I mean, has this level have we seen this kind of level before with any kind of top player? I'm not talking about playing hard. Top players should be played hard against. But like this level of hate or jealousy, as you say, which I don't disagree with, but it's just so unique to me. I'm just seeing if I'm misremembering. Why does this feel different? Is it because it is unique, or am I missing the boat on something here?
It has some unique elements. I will say that, but I also come from a time where young players, you had to earn your stripes, and if you're going to come down the lane, you're going to get an elbow in your throat. You're going to get put on your ass, basically, and you're going to have to go through that ritual. And I know that she's not a rookie player anymore, and some of that back in the day was some jealousy. Like, you're going to come in this league that I've been part of for 6-7 years and just take over and be the guy. Well, let's see you earn that, brother. And we're going to make your life really difficult for you. I come from a time where when you came onto a team as a rookie, you were going to get the business from your players. Byron Scott, the great Laker, right? And people may not remember how he got to the Lakers. He was like the fourth pick in his draft. The Lakers were so good that there were, no business drafting somebody fourth overall. But Jerry West was so enamored with him that he ended up trading a very popular Laker, Norm Nixon, and some other considerations to the then San Diego Clippers for Byron's draft rights. And here comes Byron Scott to the Lakers, a championship caliber team, replacing a very popular teammate in Norm Nixon. And it might have been for the first half of the year that his Laker teammates didn't even talk to him and made life extremely difficult for him in every imaginable way before he earned their whatever he had to earn from them. So I guess I come from a time where it's not that unusual. I think there are some unique circumstances. I'll give you that. But this whole thing of somebody just waltzing into the league and being crowned, whatever it is that they're going to be crowned, that never happened. And you had to earn your stripes. And there were some things that happened to you in games and whatnot that made you earn those stripes. So there are some elements that aren't unique, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess.
And now there's just so many cameras and angles.
Well, I guess the other part is the first reaction to that is Caitlin Clark's been in the league for a few years now. Like, this is still continuing from when she. Yeah. It's not like she's a rookie.
Right,
like,
and she doesn't look at she doesn't. She's not some innocent,
yeah, and I'm not saying that. But that's kind of where I'm going.
Because the way she plays, I did want to really quick get this out, because there's some parts of her game and her persona which I love, to be honest with you, but it's gonna rub people the wrong way, the way she could be out there sometimes. So there's that as well.
Yeah, again, I like the way she plays. I like the fact that it's getting a little, not dirty, but a little grimy. It's making for some entertainment from a viewing point of view. But I just find, because the word hate gets thrown around like they hate her, and it's funny because, like, without her, you can make the argument that the new CBA deal that they get isn't what it is. The chartered planes, all the different things that they have been able to move towards, right? But I could also see the other side of the coin where players sitting there like, I could get some real shine if I really mix it up with Caitlin Clark right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Not so much that, Vince. I don't think that there's that motivation. At least that's just my perception. I just think that there is jealousy. I think there is, think about it. You're anyone that makes professional sports. So many of them are going to be Type A personalities, even the stars and the not so stars. Because just to get there, you have to have a killer mentality, basically. And I think there is some perception across the league of everything's just being handed to Caitlin Clark. All the title of the greatest, the this, the that, all the notoriety, all the credit for the league now becoming even more profitable. When there's really been some really great players throughout the history of the WNBA, including right now, the Las Vegas Aces and some of the star players that are on the Las Vegas Aces that have put the time in and earned it and carried this league and gotten this league to a certain point. For somebody like Caitlin Clark, who was, has had, the parade around her since she was in college, I think that does tend to rub people the wrong way. And then again, she's not some angel out there. She brings her own intensity and her own persona, and I love it. But I can see from the other side how, if I get a chance to make her feel it a little bit, I'm going to do it, because I'm just not going to let somebody come walking into the league and taking everybody's shine and taking the most of the shine and being given all the credit. We're humans. That's gonna rub people the wrong way. And if they get a chance to like I said back in the day, Isaiah Thomas or whoever it is coming down the lane, you're gonna feel it. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get the treatment. And so there are some, like you said, for sure, some unique elements to it. I think there's a lot of different dynamics to it, the money and how she has lifted the league, and I think everybody recognizes that. But I think there's people in the WNBA that play there that feel like there's too much of that credit going to her. Whether they're right or wrong, right. I don't know. I think they're probably wrong on that, and it's probably a little bit misguided. But I think that has ignited a fire and some controversy and some basic jealousy, human jealousy, and that gets expressed sometimes out on the court.
It's well put, and I like it. I really like it, because I like when there is division and there is not a lot of hate, but a good amount, because that creates rivalries. That creates, again, as I like to say, theater, and that's what we're looking for when we're watching these games, especially for those that don't watch it every single day, right? Right. You want to be entertained, and I think that is an entertaining aspect. Obviously, as you said, unfortunate for a Caitlin Clark that is just going through punishment after punishment. Yeah. But I also agree. I don't think that it is just she is this innocent.
No, heck no.
I think the way she plays the game invites a little bit of it.
It does.
Which I think is a beautiful dynamic.
Right, and look, everyone wants to give credit to Michael Jordan, which absolutely, he's the best player, probably the best player to ever play the game. We won't get into that argument. But before Michael Jordan ever even showed up on the scene, it was a guy by the name of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. It was a team by the name of the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics that took the NBA from where it was kind of floundering there to new heights. Michael Jordan came and took it to an even higher height, but Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and you can get into all the dynamics, including the black and white part of it, the blue collar Boston Celtic hard hat, mentality in Boston against the Hollywood high flying Lakers and all that. You threw it all into a pot, and it created this massive amount of hate between two teams, players. There were fights. There were great championship games, regular season games. But I can't tell you, I remember being at a preseason game with the Lakers where there was an all-out brawl between the Lakers and the Celtics that spilled over into the stands. I was walking behind Danny Ainge coming off the court at a preseason game at the Forum, and somebody dumped beer all over him and was just cussing Danny Ainge out. He's like, "Why does everyone hate me?" And I was like, "Well, you're Danny Ainge. You're dirty kind of a player." But anyway, think about how that lifted the end. All of that controversy, and some of it was misguided, and some of it was immature on a lot of parts. Some of it there's like we said, a racial element to it. We can't ignore that. There is a racial element to this as well with Caitlin Clark. We can't ignore it. Let's not be naive about it. But it all ends up at the end of the day, if it's handled correctly and nobody gets physically hurt. And I like I said, I hope that player gets reprimanded, because that did cross a line. But it all contributes to people watching the NBA or WNBA and the growth of this league. Some of it's not the greatest reasons and motivations and all that, and there's some ugliness to it. But it kind of is what it is. It's life. It's Earth. It's the world, and it all kind of that pot, like I said, which hopefully for the WNBA just continues to stir and grow and grow and by leaps and bounds. And we've seen that, Vince. We've seen this league now grow by leaps and bounds, and there's a lot of contributing factors to it. Caitlin Clark and all that controversy and the hate that we see and the controversy and the bitterness and the jealousy and the fights and all the eyeballs that we're seeing on a situation that unfolded last night actually contributes to all of that.
Well, it seems our conversation stirred up a little something up on the phone. 702-365-9200. Robert in San Jose up on the line. Good morning. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Thanks for taking my call, Vince, Vinny. Vinny, I'm glad you brought up the racial element to this, because I think that's where a lot of this is coming from, and that there are a lot of black girls that are in the WNBA, like an Angel Wilson down there in Las Vegas, who are probably better players than Caitlin Clark. But it's Caitlin Clark that's getting the national TV commercials and all that. So I think there is some jealousy in that going on from that. But as you say, it's good for the league. And next time those two teams play, I will be watching.
There you go. See? There you go. Theater. Beautiful theater. Robert, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. George on the text line says Clark isn't the best player in the WNBA. A lot of WNBA players have a problem with everyone considering her the top player. Vinny called her the best player. A total disrespect to Angel Wilson. I think I said she was, not Vinny, unless you said that, Vinny. I said she was one of, if not the best players in the league. I fully acknowledge Angel Wilson is one of one. Yeah, there's nobody close to what she is doing and has done.
Right.
In her time. So that was a misstep by me. Caitlin Clark is not the best player. She is one of the top players in the league. I don't think that's a question. But I do understand that aspect of it. Like, okay, she's not the best in the league, but she's still a face of the league.
Is she the most popular player in the league?
I think she's the most polarizing.
Well, yeah.
Popular, that's an interesting. I think Angel Wilson is one of the most popular.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Sabrina Ionescu is one of the most popular.
I mean, if you were just to,
well, yeah, probably she's probably in that realm. And
Yeah.
if you were to tell me that the numbers came out, who's the most popular player, and it's her, I wouldn't be surprised. I would still think it's an Asia Wilson. In terms of popularity, but we're kind of getting into semantics now. She is maybe, and maybe this is the better way. She's the most recognizable face of the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark is number one in merchandise sales.
There you go.
In the NBA.
There you go.
That
nothing else says popularity.
Yeah, Angel Reese is number 2. Sabrina is number 3. Kate Martin is number 4. Believe it or not,
Kate's awesome.
Yeah, she is, and Asia Wilson is number 5. So yeah, I mean, it's maybe popular is the wrong the wrong word, but the most recognizable.
Yeah, I think that's the
lightning rod. All of that, and I don't think there's anyone that disagrees. I would imagine, and just looking, in the quick Google that I did, her leading the league in merchandise sales pretty much explains that, and again, that's going to cause some. There's going to be some jealousy toward that, and that jealousy is going to be reflected sometimes in some shenanigans that happen out on the court.
All right, sorry, went long on that. Did not expect to go down that route, but hey, it's summer. It's the summer. Let's. Despite all the negativity that is shrouding that conversation, who's the most hated Raider of all time? How's that for a segue? We need our Raider historians on the case on that one, both past and present. Are there any current Raiders hated? Can't be. Let's dive into it. 702-365-9200 is the number, and a new name in terms of the pass rushers all of a sudden popped up on my timeline. I'll tell you why it makes no sense whatsoever, but first.
Hey guys, since 1942, Sal's Mexican restaurants have been serving the best Mexican food in California's Central Valley. From their award-winning salsas to all their great classics like chili carne and chili verde, they've been go-to restaurants for multiple generations. But here's the thing, you don't even have to be in California or the Central Valley to enjoy this great food. All you got to do, wherever you are, is go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com. That's salsmexicanrestaurant.com and get hooked up. You go online, you put your order in, wherever you are, the food will get delivered to you, and this way your next party, your next family get-together, or your next tailgate is totally set up. If you do live in the Central Valley, maybe you're passing through that beautiful area, please make sure to stop by their locations. There's 3 of them in Selma, Fresno, or Madera. And when you do, ask for Sal, Carl, or any of their great managers, and please let them know that the Morning Tailgate and Raider Nation Radio sent you. Or again, if you feel the urge, and why wouldn't you, just go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
Welcome back inside the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio, 920. Vinny, we really woke up the nation with this topic. This was not the route I was going to go, but sometimes you got to ride the wave, especially in the summertime.
I agree.
Jason up on the text line says the WNBA misses Kobe Bean Bryant. The girl dad would have run that league differently. I could see that. If he ever got into the league, you know what I mean? I could see him taking over. Big advocate of the dub.
Yeah. But how would he do it differently, I guess, is the...
I don't know. I don't know what... that was the text. That was Jason. Maybe Jason will come back in.
Yeah.
Give us his thoughts. Also, never bad to just shout out Kobe.
Of course.
Right. How many times do you still do that? I do it all the time. Every time I shoot something in the trash. Even if I don't say it out loud, it's Kobe.
You don't yell out Bam Adebayo now?
No, I don't. Yeah. Connor, I do not. I do not yell out bam. Sometimes I might go bam after, but mid shooting, mid shot, mid fadeaway, it's still Kobe. Do you, Connor? Or you say Adebayo?
Oh, God, no. I grew up with the Kobe era. We were still shooting paper balls in the trash can yelling Kobe.
That's a good segue. Bam. Asia dub. Look at you, Connor. Vinny, look at Connor. He's just...
For me, that was always. I mean, okay, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but I've known Kobe since he was 17 years old, and he was calling me sir. So it was as great as he became, as big as he became. I still remember Kobe at 17, and seeing him grow up, basically. So I was, and to me, he's definitely a top 5 player, top 3 player, probably wherever you want to put him. But. So for me, it was more George Gervin in the finger roll. Like that's how I would throw it into the trash can, or do something. A Magic Johnson or a Kareem Skyhook. Those were the guys that in my younger days are the players that I sort of looked up to. With Kobe, as much as I respected him and as great as he was, it was hard for me sometimes to see him as that, because I remember when he was a teenager, just a kid coming out of Lower Merion High School, and before all the hoopla and all that. And so that's how I kind of remember him, and I will always remember him. And as much as I respect and love what he became and the player that he became, he was just unbelievable. Great to see that.
Napoleon says, let's be honest, the dub would have no shine if not for Clark. Nobody cared until she arrived, other than small pockets in the team's cities. I never watched a game until she came out. I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a large portion of that. Like, and again, let's not forget, Caitlin Clark in college was setting all these records, right? But things really didn't. Like things really boiled over when it was her and Angel Reese, and that back and forth. And again, that stems from a rivalry, from some good old fashioned love to hate. That creates fantastic theater.
I.e. Magic Larry Bird. That went to college. They played each other in the finals, and it was all set up. It was starting to boil at that point. Did you ever see Magic Johnson's story that he told the first time that he ever really got to see Larry up close and personal? It was long before they ever played against each other at Indiana and Indiana State and Michigan State. But anyway, they were at it was some Team USA thing, right? And they were the youngest player, basically the youngest players on the team, and they started the game on the bench. Why? The first game on the bench. Why? Because the head coach of Team USA, it was some sort of national thing that they were doing, was the Kentucky coach. So all the Kentucky players got the preferential treatment. They were, and he was, me and this kid Larry Bird are going, we're watching these guys going, we're better than these guys, and finally they got on the court. They got on the court together, and it was magic. They were playing like literally magic, not Magic Johnson. It was magic, and they were just teaming up just to destroy some people. And that's when Magic Johnson called his family back in East Lansing and said, "Hey man, it's real. This dude Larry Bird can play." Like, and it was funny to them, and they still recount the story of how the heck were we on the bench when some guys that weren't nearly as good as us were getting that preferential treatment. But it was very quick for that coach to realize, oh, okay, my two best players are actually the ones on the bench. So, but the point being, that rivalry started in college, and that's one thing that I've always felt like. I think the WNBA has a little bit of an advantage over the NBA in this regard. The women still seem to stay in college a little bit longer now with NIL, and I don't know what the draft eligibility questions are for the WNBA, but it feels like we're starting. What's happening is we're seeing some of these players, some of these great young WNBA players. We're first seeing them in college. It's hard to do that with the NBA. I think it's getting a little bit better because NIL is keeping guys in the game a little bit longer. So we're starting to lock in on some of these soon to be NBA star players when they're in college. But that went away for a little while because back in the day, you followed Patrick Ewing from freshman year to junior year, and then he left. You followed James Worthy. You followed Michael Jordan, you followed Magic Johnson, you followed Larry Bird. The guy stayed in college basically 3 years, in a rare case 2 years, but we were able to form an identity with them or a connection with them in college. That's kind of gone away, and I give the WNBA, on the other hand, it really does benefit from it because, like you said, we first were introduced to Caitlin Clark at Iowa and playing against Angel Reese and her great teams, and that rivalry was established and etched in stone at that point, and then it just naturally transferred over to the WNBA.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to be the best. I think Asia Wilson is going to go down as the best player of all time in the dub, at least in our generation. In terms of as we are walking this earth, I don't think there's going to be anybody better than her. But in terms of
you don't think that somebody's coming along that's going to take that mantle?
I just think what she's done in such a short period of time, and you can make the argument she hasn't even really hit her prime. Like, she's still in the early stages of her prime, and she's got every accolade record imaginable and feels like she can go as long as she wants. But, again, she's one of one, right?
The beautiful thing about sports is somebody's going to come
right,
along.
that's what I mean. Yeah. I'm not saying that's not. I'm just saying in my lifetime, our generation, she might go down as the greatest of all time. But Caitlin Clark, wherever she falls in that, in terms of GOAT status, I don't think anybody has reshaped a league in one fell swoop as quickly upon arrival as anybody in the history of sports. And again, the WNBA kind of changed overnight, like, if we really think about it. For me, though, this is very reminiscent of Magic and Bird. It really is. Like, I've seen this before. I've seen this one play out because you got to understand, like where the I know, but that was a rivalry that lifted it. I'm talking about this is one person basically against everybody, seemingly. Like, at first, I would have given it her and Angel, but that ship feels like that's kind of sailed. Because she is still going through this stuff. Sans. Like, she's still going through these back and forths and skirmishes and games without an Angel Reese.
I misunderstood. I thought you were saying somebody that's lifted the recognizable of a league. This is unprecedented. It was.
Yeah, in terms of one person, just one person on her own. Albeit she's getting shoved to the hardwood in order to do it. But Interesting nonetheless. We got somebody waiting on the phones. Let's get out to the phone. 702-365-9200. I don't know who we got. Snake Man. Good morning, Snake Man. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Good morning, guys. Couple things, man. Hey, Vin, you remember Conrad Dobler, right? Speaking of hated players.
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
I don't know, some of the younger people would know Conrad Dobler, but he had a reputation for being maybe the dirtiest player other than some of the guys we had on the Raiders in football. But I just kind of thought about that when you guys asked.
Conrad's a great name. Conrad.
Yeah. Conrad Dobler, read about him. He was something else, Vince. I'll tell you, man.
All right.
Real quick, with the WNBA, there's nothing that turns me off more than seeing women fight each other. That's why I don't watch UFC. If the WNBA is just going to... was there a fight or something last night? Is that what brought up this whole conversation about Caitlin again? And
Caitlin got punched in the throat. She got punched in the throat while on the ground. So, no big deal.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you could just, count me out watching any of that stuff anyway. That's a big turnoff. But anyway, I want to talk some soccer. Vinny, are you from the Northeast, right? New York and all that, right?
I was born in New York, yes.
All right, so, I don't know, some of the younger people may not remember the NASL, but that was when I was a young kid, and my parents used to take me to Cosmos games all the time, and I actually got into the clubhouse, met Pele, Francisco Mourinho, Carlos Alberto. We met all the great Cosmos players, and because my stepfather is Russian and Brazilian, because he lived in Sao Paulo in Brazil for 20 years, he always, I grew up learning about the great Brazilian players like Rivellino and Pepe and Pelé and Garrincha and all those players. So when we went to see the New York Cosmos, that's when Pelé came over, Beckenbauer came over, Vladislav Bogačević was over, and then Mourinho came over with Canalia. And that giant stadium, used to sell out 76 to 78,000. We saw the Argentinian national team play a friendly with Maradona against the Cosmos. I believe it was in late 78 or 79, and you couldn't fit. That was the best times for us as kids for soccer, because that's where my memories go back. Soccer, which kind of brings you to like the fall of the NASL, and I'll double back here to like how exciting it is having the World Cup here. But the NASL, they implemented a rule that really watered down the quality of the players on each team, because initially they had like a quota where they had to have so many American players on each team. And Bobby Smith, who was good friends with my family, he had a bar right here in Trenton, New Jersey, called Smitty's Kicks for years. And he was a good player, but he had no business playing on that level. He mostly sat the bench. But I'm getting at is they slowly over the years started having less and less international players came over. I mean, Christ came over, Mueller came over, Gerd Mueller came over. It was just the league was fabulous at that time. They were selling out every game everywhere. But the media also didn't really, I'm not saying all the media, but there was a contingent of the media that had contempt for the game because it was not a quote-unquote American sport, okay? So it slowly started to kind of, because of those two reasons, the NASL eventually just wasn't as competitive, it wasn't as good the quality of play, because frankly, back in those days, the United States did not have a program like they're having now, that, bringing up these young players and whatnot. So getting back to the World Cup now, though, this is, I think, in my opinion, a lot of people will believe this is the best team that America's had in quite some, and maybe ever. And of course, as a host nation, they set these tournaments up a little bit to give them a little bit more advantage, because they want to see their home team advance and at least get through the initial stages and get to the knockout stages. So if I could keep myself awake, get some coffee tonight at 10 o'clock tonight, the game doesn't mean as much because the United States is going to go into the next round. But who they draw is a big deal. So I just wanted you guys to talk about maybe the USA a little bit and just kind of reminisce, if you have time, about that old NASL, because that was the golden age of soccer, in my opinion, in the U.S. I'll talk to you guys later, okay?
Thanks, Snake Man. Vinny, I will leave it to you for the New York, the Cosmos. By the way, slight tangent, which maybe we can get to in hour number 2. Cosmos, great name for the NBA team here in Vegas. The Vegas Cosmos, it's out of this world. Oh, that's fantastic. Cosmos, are you kidding me? That's amazing.
I remember Pelé games selling out, and probably wherever he played. I don't remember all the league's teams selling out. That's a recollection that I'd have to go back and look, because there's a reason why the league ultimately didn't last. And I've lived through every single iteration of this is when the big soccer turn is going to happen for the United States. I think it's great to see the growth of soccer. Obviously, the participation level is through the roof. We're seeing a new level of athleticism on this Team USA team, and hopefully that continues. It's being the sport itself is being opened to everybody now, and I think that some of our younger athletes now are moving to soccer, and I think that's being shown out on the field with this particular team. Do I think that it's ever going to rival basketball or football or baseball? I don't, and I just don't see that happening. But that's okay. It could have its niche and still be extremely popular and still produce in the United States great teams for us to root for at this stage of the World Cup and things like that, the Olympics.
More conversation on the way here in the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR920AM. Let's dig in to the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back inside the tailgate. The The other reason the Dub and its fan base and Caitlin Clark people have been irate this past week is the WNBA is starting their 30-year campaign, Vinny. I don't know if you saw this. Celebrating 30 years of the WNBA, both the past, the present, and all the momentum created. There was a commemorative poster that was made to celebrate. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's about 20 athletes on this poster representing the different teams, dating back to Lisa Leslie with the Sparks and things of that nature. Asia Wilson's on it. Caitlin Clark is not on it, which is her teammate Sophie Cunningham is representing the Fever, which people have lost their minds about. So it feels like this is just now. That's not necessarily picking a side. That feels just like the WNBA getting in their own way. Like, what are you even doing? Now, if you're just trying to get attention, mission accomplished. But, like, you're missing out on the actual sales of what people would buy with a Caitlin Clark on it as opposed to not. Again, just another reason for a lot of the loud
And Sophie's really popular, by the way.
Very popular.
Extremely popular. So, by the way, the NASL, their peak attendance was 13,000. Yes, the Cosmos, when they brought Pelé in, definitely had a little heyday going, and they were in the 60s, and there were a couple games where they got 70-something thousand, but it was mainly because of Pelé. Everywhere else, and the problem was they were playing in a lot of cases all those multi-purpose baseball, football stadiums, and so 13,000 in the peak year doesn't look very good in that kind of an environment. So I didn't remember the NA when Snake Man said that it was selling out all over the place. I don't remember that. So it looks like in the Cosmos cases for sure, and I do remember that because it was at Giant Stadium, and there was a lot of fanfare for Pelé. And the other problem with that, Vince, is that a lot of those players came toward the very tail end of their career, kind of like what we're seeing a little bit with the Major Indoor Soccer League, right? Or not the
Major League Soccer. Yep,
Major League Soccer, with these players, these great players from other countries coming here at the tail end of their career. And I do think, let me ask you this, because you're much more of a soccer aficionado than I am. Mm-hmm. I think America, we always appreciate any level. You go to a minor league baseball game, there's one in Las Vegas, anywhere, people are going to buy into it. They're going to go to games, even if it's not the best of the best. But I feel like in America, we sort of recognize what the best of the best is. And so until American soccer leagues get to a point where they're every bit as good as, the Premier League teams or whatever, great European. I think there's going to be sort of a recognition of that, and then it's going to have its place as a result. Now, if you're telling me that you're going to bring in, that you're going to make our version of the professional leagues as good as the Premier League and buy players that, from all over the world in their prime, that might change things. I would think that would change things in terms of the popularity of the sport here in the United States at that professional level.
Well, I could go for more than 2 hours on this particular subject, but I'll just say this. I was working for the LA Galaxy when David Beckham arrived in LA. And at the time, it was, we're talking about, I don't know if Caitlin Clark changed one league more than anybody else. I look back and I think back, and I would probably argue against myself that David Beckham probably did that for Major League Soccer. He created the Beckham rule, which has become the designated player rule, which allows teams to sign players from outside the country, outside of their salary cap, to bring in these big names, to do what you're saying, bring in, these big stars with big names, big brands, bring them over to Major League Soccer for the viewing part of it. It is allowed that move not only brought championships to the LA Galaxy, which I saw firsthand, but that allowed David Beckham into ownership of Major League Soccer, bringing more brand, more visibility to it, which allowed him to purchase and build Inter Miami, which has brought Lionel Messi over to Major League Soccer, which has helped the visibility product. So that one move, you could make the argument nobody was bigger than David Beckham in the early 2000s, late 90s in terms of the world. Forget soccer, forget sport. He was one of the top people in the world. So we'll continue the conversation here in hour number 2.
How many of and this is a question for the other side, where do the players for Team USA play during their professional careers?
It's the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
There have been plenty of other coaches, but why not us? Why not this staff? Why not this group of players? I look at it as what a great challenge. We're going to be about the work.
He is back, baby! And the Raiders regain the lead!
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Flying through into hour number 2 here on the Morning Tailgate. It's Raider Nation Radio 920. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor coming to you live from Las Vegas on a Thursday, June 25th, 2026. We're 4 weeks away from the rookies reporting for Raiders training camp. Keep those countdown clocks rolling. Well, we were talking in hour number 1 again. You just got to ride the wave, Connor. Sometimes you got to ride the wave this time of year, whatever the nation wants to talk about. Caitlin Clark was a massive topic of conversation, which that is a common theme, whether it is here, whether it is nationally, no matter what it may be. Then we got a soccer call. It's match day for the good old US of A. Vinny, you asked me a question before we hit the break about where the U.S. men's national team players play when they are not with their country. 8 players play in Major League Soccer of the 25-26. The remaining play abroad. The 2 best players, two of your better players. Christian Pulisic, he plays in Italy. There's guys who play in France, the Premier League, Germany. So kind of just about everywhere. But 8 players in Major League Soccer feels like a win for Major League Soccer, especially when you consider this probably is the best version of the U.S. men's national team they have had. Back-to-back wins in the group stage, first time that's ever happened in forever. So we'll see what tonight comes. We'll see where they end up going. I know that everybody wants to get back to Seattle. So they got to win tonight. Well, tonight doesn't matter. I should say they got to win that knockout round next, and then that gets them a trip back in Seattle. I believe that is July 5th, I believe, because that scene, that atmosphere was absolutely electric. Seattle, the Northwest being the soccer town, as it were. So, but going off of the Caitlin Clark effect in the WNBA, David Beckham had that effect in LA. And one of the big reasons was, aside from the price tag that the Galaxy were willing to pay, $250 million, I believe, was the number. If memory serves me correct, I can check that here in a second. $250 million to come on over. It was less about the money, even though the money was a big part of it, but it was more about the brand. Again, I talked about he was like one of the top 5 humans known in the world. And he comes over to LA, massive market, to expedite and explode his brand even more. He does that not only for himself, but for Major League Soccer in a massive way. Records in attendance, records in merchandise, records in everything you can imagine. Now, social media and stuff wasn't what it was now. Back in 2007, I believe was the year that he came over. It was a 5-year deal, so 2007. But whatever the numbers were, they exploded for Major League Soccer, and it may not have been. Major League Soccer still has work to do in terms of globally compared to the Premier League. But I think, to your point, Vinny, I think Major League Soccer has to be done now with just getting the old names to come over. Now you got to figure a way to build and create names here that people can get excited about, latch on here, and then go from there. It's not an overnight process. It's a thing that's going to take some time, but maybe this World Cup here on home soil can do that, or at least be the foundation for it. Success breeds a lot of that as well.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts on that. Number one, with the WNBA's most recent collective bargaining agreement, their estimated average salary now is $600,000. MLS, I know there's more players on an MLS team, is $514,000. The league minimum for WNBA is $270 to $300. The league minimum in MLS is $88,000. Maximum supermax salary is $1.4 million for the WNBA, and it's $12 million in the MLS, but that's for those players like you just talked about. Messi, coming in and having that was a designated slot where you could kind of go over your salary cap to go sign a player like that. My curiosity is, you just mentioned that there's 8 players from Team USA that play in the MLS. How many of those players do you think are going to graduate to some team in Europe, because some team in Europe is just simply going to hand them more money and have the ability to hand them more money because of the way the finances are structured? Or do you think it's more that more American players are just going to stay in the and playing in the American Professional League?
I think it's going to be a mix of both, and there's positives to both. If a team in Europe, for example, comes over and wants to let's just say take Sebastian Berhalter from Vancouver, right? They're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money to do so. Good for Vancouver, because now they're able to generate more funds, but then it becomes on the club to do something with it. Maybe not, let's not, but I think
but the bottom line
is the grassroots. It's how do you use that money to create another version of Sebastian Berhalter in the future, and not just one, but 2 or 3 or 4. That's how you do it, because in Europe and these clubs abroad, they all have academies, as they call it, where they have these kids that are being trained and groomed to be these next superstars. And if they're not building them or coaching them or finding them, they're going out and paying money to do so. So at what point, if ever, does Major League Soccer get to that point? That's when you start finding the grassroots. That's when you find homegrown players that you can, glob onto and attach yourself to. And again, they are so far ahead of the game in that respect. I don't know if it's ever achievable to get to that level. To your point, I don't know if it's ever going to be the case where soccer, from a club perspective, ever matches the NFL, the NBA, or even Major League Baseball to that extent, right? The NHL is having a hard time keeping up with that level as well. They're getting there, but even they're having their own obstacles.
And it all boils down to how many people are watching, what do your TV contracts look like, how many tickets are you selling, all of that. That's what drives everything, is ultimately revenue. That's how, with the NFL and most professional sports leagues, it's not quite a 50-50 split between owners and players, but it's roughly a 50% split. That's what revenue dictates what the salary cap is, how much money each team has to spend on their salaries, and ultimately the player salaries themselves. And so until the American Soccer League, Professional Soccer League, can get to a point where they can competitively pay like they do in Europe, in these Premier Leagues and Italy and other great European leagues that have the revenue to be able to just pay whatever they need to pay to go get the best players in the world. Even many of them are going to be, or many are Americans, or a handful are Americans. That's the thing that the MLS is always going to struggle with. They don't have the finances to. Yes, they might be able to develop young players, but those young players, if they're good enough, the best ones are always going to go where the money is. Right,
100%.
At the end of the day, and I don't know that.
And competition. That's the other part. They for soccer, your end all be all is to win trophies at the highest level. One of those is being the World Cup, representing your country. The best way to represent your country is playing at the highest leagues possible, which are the most competitive, which is why Major League Soccer has to find a way to develop more than just bringing the retread stars over in Europe over to America in their final 2-3 seasons before they retire. That's the
be able
part.
to compete. Yeah, or be able to whether it's developing young players and keeping those young players through their prime years, or being able to competitively go out and buy players like Premier League teams do, whether it's from the United States or anywhere on the globe. Quite honestly, until they can get to that competitive standpoint with the Premier League teams all across the world, I don't see that. That's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, it's going to be tough sledding, no doubt.
Yeah, because ultimately it's not, because we as consumers in the United States are not buying into it from a television viewer standpoint, ticket sales standpoint, all of those commitment standpoint that drive the revenue in the United States for the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball. We just don't, and I guess that's the question.
There's a disconnect somewhere, because soccer is still the most participated youth sport in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where's the disconnect?
I've always said that it's more of it's getting better. I would say obviously it's gotten better, but it's always been more of a participation sport than a passionate day in and day out viewership and commitment. Yes, there's niche fans that are diehard.
It just seems crazy that as you said, it's the most participated sport in America, youth-wise, soccer.
Yeah.
How they can't find a way to bridge the gap after all these years in that respect is troubling to me. Obviously, I don't have the answer. But in 2006, the average salary for an MLS soccer player was $90,000. It's now $670,000 or $650,000 today. So obviously, great strides. I think still plenty more work to do, especially when you compare it to the countries in Europe.
Go look at the 2006 average salary of the Premier League players.
Right.
Look how much it's grown.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
the other part that is a fascinating parallel to me, just since we're on this topic, is the way soccer is, Major League Soccer compared to the rest of the world, let's just call it, is I almost see it almost like baseball, right? Like you have all these teams, and yet there's still only 5 to 10 teams that will pay, have the means to pay, have the brands to pay. And it just feels like the Pittsburgh Pirates of the world, just our feeder systems to these bigger teams, not too dissimilar to the way Major League Soccer was, at least years ago. They didn't have as many stars, but when they did have stars, they went over to Europe. They went over to the big clubs. So it's a fascinating business model, to try and shake from. And you just feel like if there was ever a time for the tide to turn, it would be now, because you have as much momentum as you've ever had in this country for soccer because of the World Cup and because the games have been very entertaining. You said you went to a game last weekend. It was 0-0, but it was you were entertained. You had a good time with your son.
I would say this. I was more entertained with the atmosphere and the environment and everything like that than the actual game. And,
that's the draw. That's what you got to bottle. How do you do that? That's what they.
I don't think you will. I don't. I think anytime you put a Team USA or you make it a national event or international event like this, of course American fans are going to be interested right now. But I don't see. Short of maybe a very select few. Let's put it that way. Like there's a cap on this. I just don't see and never have, and don't think that I ever will. Now all of a sudden, all these fans that are on this great ride with Team USA. Once this is all said and done, now saying I got to go watch. Now I'm going to go buy my season tickets or really start religiously watching the MSL. I just don't see that happening. Because it never has, and I don't see that even as fun as this ride has been, and hopefully they go and win the whole thing. I still don't see that transferring into a huge swell of support for the American Professional Soccer League. Now it might create fans of now they'll go follow, the top American players as they go to
their countries
Milan.
Abroad.
Yeah. But I don't see that. I don't see that that's going to happen, and maybe it's because even when I've been at soccer games, I'm just not. It's maybe it's because I don't know the game as well, but it's just not as exciting to me as a football game or a basketball game. And maybe it's because of how I grew up or what the sports were that I played. But I think my sentiment is shared by a lot of people, obviously, because nobody is breaking records going to watch, American professional soccer or, whether it's live at the game or on television. Ultimately, the market always speaks for itself. We know that, Vince, right? And the market just hasn't emerged the way I think a lot of people have continually predicted, including I'm hearing it now. Oh, this is going to create this is going to be the spark that really sends soccer to another level in the United States. It might from a participation standpoint again and build off of that, but I don't see a lot of people now all of a sudden transferring and moving on to go catch a LA like I got to be an LA Galaxy fan now or whatever the other teams are in the MLS.
Speaking of the market, our friend of the show, Arash Markazi, retweeted a ticket price comparison at SoFi Stadium. The cheapest ticket to tonight's U.S. men's national team game against Turkey, $1,153. And it says on here the total cost to attend every Rams game this season at SoFi, $980.
For that seat.
Right.
Yeah, because there's way more expensive.
No, right. But for that particular seat for every game compared to one soccer, it's interesting. I don't know if that seat's going to sell, but that's neither here nor there.
You know what? I have to. I'm glad you brought that up because there was a lot of complaints during the NBA Finals when you started seeing tickets. What they were costing to get into a Knicks game, right?
Right.
And it was what, $13,000, $20,000. And I have to make a little bit of a statement here. That isn't the New York Knicks selling those tickets at that point. That's the secondary market, right? People who, whether it's a season ticket holder who said, I'm going to cash in right now and sell my ticket. I'd love to go see this game, but man, I can make $50,000, selling a pair of tickets, right? And so I know there were a lot of complaints, and I know there was people, I can't ever attend a game, or it's too expensive, and it is kind of frustrating at that level. But are we going to take away somebody's right to be able to market their ticket and cash in on their ticket? They made the original investment back in the day when they plopped down whatever it was to buy a season ticket to the New York Knicks games, and maybe they didn't do this knowingly or with a plan, but as the situation evolved, they got to a point where their ticket, there was huge value in their ticket, and our whole system is built on capitalism and investing for the payoff, for the return on investment. And so I don't blame any of these people that own a season ticket for making a decision like that to say, you know what, I'm going to cash in right now and help buy my season ticket for the next 10 years or put my kid through school or refurbish my house or buy a new house, right? So I know that there's some frustration and complaint in it, but we are completely rejecting the very structure that we're built on in America, which is capitalism, and so I don't blame anybody at that point for doing whatever they do with their ticket.
Speaking of the markets, Poly Market keeps popping up on my feed, and I saw a picture of Joey Bosa in a Raiders uniform. Apparently, there's a 33% chance that Joey Bosa will be a member of the Silver and Black. Now, our buddy Jason up on the text line says, what's the deal? Is Joey Bosa signing with the Raiders? A couple things here. I believe Adam Schefter just reported that Joey Bosa is more likely to retire than return to the NFL at this particular stage. Kind of a one and done with Buffalo last season. But Vinny, for all the as we transition into some Raiders talk this morning, for all the discussion we had earlier in the week about free agent wide receivers and what makes sense, and then we continued the conversation, how big of a impact does Key Crawford need to have, be opposite Max Crosby, because there's a lot of question marks in terms of the edge rushers, and then all of a sudden Joey Bosa pops up on this Poly Market, whatever it is, about a 33% chance He's going to be with the Raiders. One, it doesn't make any sense to me why he would choose the Raiders for somebody who is on his not even back nine, maybe last hole or two. You're looking at a guy trying one more kick at the can. Not sure why you would pick the Raiders because it's not going to be about a payday, especially at this point in the offseason. You're not getting paid that kind of money. So for those reasons, it doesn't make sense. But it does beg a bigger question I would ask you, and I'll get your thoughts on Joey Bosa. But do the Raiders need to look for outside help on the edge rusher front?
I'm not trying to dodge the question, but it's TBA. First of all, I don't necessarily see Joey Bosa as that player that they would turn to if they feel into training camp that, hey, we're a little light at this position or a little light at that position. I think right now, it's kind of. This is the team, right? And these players, for the most part, have been part of this journey now for months and months and months. Obviously, the holdovers have been here for a while, but the newcomers have been here now, and this group of Raiders has been together since basically April after the draft and putting the work in. And I think that the Raiders are very curious to see what actually we have come training camp. And once they get a look at the team in that setting, then I think that some moves might be made, or whatever concerns they might have might be quelled for the time being, or they're in some cases they're kind of resigned to the fact that there's boxes that still need to be checked off with this team, obviously, but there are boxes that are going to have to be checked off, down the road, next offseason, in free agency next year, in the draft next year, rather than, filling a hole this year or trying to improve slightly this year at a certain position group.
702-365-9200. We'll go back to the original question that spurred a lot of this conversation. In terms of hate, who's the most hated player in the NFL for Raider Nation? A lot of the league hates Caitlin Clark. Fans love her, but a lot of the league hates her. Who do fans, Raider Nation fans, dislike, really have a distaste for in the NFL? We'll dive into that topic here in a little bit, but first, got to give away some tickets. We're doing Seinfeld tickets this weekend at the Coliseum, Caesars Palace, June 26th and 27th. Tickets from Ticketmaster. We've got 2 for you. Be caller number 5. Caller number 5, and a pair of tickets to see Jerry Seinfeld, a guy who reshaped the sitcom world, by the way. Can be yours right here in the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
Clean pocket, back to throw. Now it collapses, and Jamal Adams brings him down for a sack. Came off the edge, got through the block of Pacheco, and dropped him for a loss of 4.
Jason Horowitz on the call. How about that? A Jamal Adams highlight.
You're talking about the most hated players in Raiders fan base. I would say Mahomes is probably up there.
He's got to be, right? That's got to be number 1 right now?
I would think so.
In terms
Justin
of
Herbert is probably up there.
Is there really hate for him, though? Like, what has he really done to, other than just be the quarterback on a rival team?
That's fair.
Vinny? I mean, where do we stand on, in terms of hate? Everyone hates Caitlin Clark. Who do the Raiders hate? Patrick Mahomes has to be one, right?
Well, the hate always correlates with who's kicking your ass. So yes, it would be Patrick Mahomes. Sadly,
but I mean, the Chargers have beaten the Raiders too. But is there really hate for Justin Herbert? Is it like that kind of same hate?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if the Chargers start reeling off, a dominant run and start winning some Super Bowls, it's like screw that guy. He will quickly escalate and ascend to that level. But it's always funny how your level of hate typically lines up with who's got the shoe, and it's kind of spanking you a little bit. That's why, like, when we're thinking about who's the most hated Raider, it's hard to find one nowadays. There were a bunch of them back in the day. There were a bunch of them back in the day. Why? Because they were, taking the belt off, and
they took some liberties.
Yeah, exactly, and we're beating people down, and so that created a lot of hate around the league. And they did things in a very physical way and in a very dominant way, and that's why they were hated. Just like the Pittsburgh Steelers were hated, and the Dallas Cowboys were hated. There was maybe a different reason why the Cowboys were hated. They were always on TV every week, and America's team, blah blah blah. But the bottom line is they were all of those things because they were winning as well.
Yeah, I imagine if Pittsburgh fans were listening, George Atkinson would come to mind in terms of who they hate on the Raiders. Bill Romanowski is another guy that feels a lot of hate emanated to and from.
But wherever he was, too.
That's what I mean.
He was in Denver. He was in San Francisco, and he was always, he's kind of a dirty player, basically. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Jack Tatum.
Yeah, all those guys. Lyle Alzado was hated. I mean, he was ripping people's helmets off.
You can't do that.
So those guys, the players of the Raiders when they were in their heyday.
Yeah. So let's I guess talk now. Like
there aren't any because the Raiders haven't earned that. They just haven't earned it from the Raiders' perspective, right?
Yeah. I can't even. I'm trying to even come up with an argument. I guess you could hate Brock Bowers because you have him covered and he still comes up with one-handed. But Brock Bowers is like one of the nicest guys in the world. Like he'll run by you and be like, "Sorry about that."
Yeah. No, I mean the Raiders have not won enough and exerted their dominance, their arrogance, their anything of that nature to a point where somebody needs to be hating them from the outside, and hopefully that changes because you want to be disliked, you want to have that means that you're taking care of business and you're putting a hurt on people, and that's how hate usually gets developed in these situations.
So Fernando's got to bring out the hate with his play. From other teams and fan bases.
Right.
One of the nicest guys you'll probably ever meet. He's got to emanate hate from the opposing fan base.
I don't know that he's...
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to be the guy that's the face of the hate. Because, there's a whole bunch of Kansas City Chiefs players.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and I think that he's an interesting one to me because as much as you kind of want to hate him, you kind of like him too because he's a good dude, And I got a chance during the Super Bowl to really sit on. I probably sat in on every one of his press conferences, and I came away super impressed by him. I just ended up, I kind of like the way he rolls. I like the demeanor. I like the intelligence. I like the whole package with Travis Kelce. Whereas I think for some reason Patrick Mahomes definitely rubs people the wrong way. Maybe it's the way he kind of carries himself out there, and obviously the gunslinger, and obviously he's putting a whooping on you too, and he's the face of that whooping from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective.
I know he's kind of new, but could you say that there's maybe an argument for Tyler Linderbaum? This is going to be that face of your offensive line. He's going to be your center. You want him to be able to be a bully in the trenches. You would like to see that. Other people coming off the field, man, I hate going against him. That guy is going to push me down. He's going to hold me on the ground after. That's that gritty mindset.
I think that if there's a player along the offensive line, I think that has to be Jackson Powers-Johnson because I think that's more of his game. I feel like that is the perfect, to your point, that is the perfect type of player and type of hate that you want, assuming the running game is going. Right? Because I was trying to think, is Ashton Genty going to be one of those guys? God, I hate that guy. But there's not even a Saquon, a Bijan, Christian McCaffrey. You don't necessarily hate those guys.
What are we talking? We're talking about fans hating the players, right? Because trust me, there's
all the above.
Yeah.
All the above.
Okay.
And we're kind of going different spots, so all the above.
Yeah, no, I think that obviously nobody wants to go face Max Crosby every day. There's hate to have to go play Max Crosby on a weekly basis. But until the Raiders start winning, he's not going to be a hated player. He'd be the perfect hated Raider. And if the Raiders ever got to a point where he won, not to say that he wouldn't be popular because part of that is popularity, but I would imagine that a fan base in Kansas City City or elsewhere would if he's out there, wreaking havoc against your team and doing and being Max, right? And he is a personality, and there are some things that he wears it on his sleeve, and the love for the Raiders and that image and that swashbuckling type of a thing, I think would instantly start rubbing people the wrong way, to the point where he was one of those kind of hated players. But until they win, it's more just a, hey, good job, don't necessarily like you over here in Kansas City, but I don't hate you, because what have you guys ever done for me to hate you? So.
Yeah, obviously Max Crosby is the candidate. That is the option in terms of who's the most hated Raider. Has to be Max Crosby, because he's the only one who really wreaks havoc. That on top of, he talks a lot of mess on the football field. So there's a lot of reason to, from an opposing team's perspective, as well as an opposing team's fan base.
And I would just think that fan base right now is more, that's cute. What does it mean? Where if they start winning, if they start winning, then it's going to be like, there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be real hate because you're going to get frustrated because the Raiders are beating you, and Max is over there doing what he's doing. Right now, what he does is cute to other fans because it's from his perspective. He's been dominant, and he dominates other players, but the team unfortunately doesn't back him up to also dominate, and that's when the real hate starts. Is when you're going into another team stadium and kicking their ass and laughing and pointing up in the stands and jawing with the fans and doing all those things and pointing at the scoreboard. Ultimately, that's the ultimate part of it, is pointing at the scoreboard and saying, thanks for stopping by for these last 3 hours. We just took everything that you own and everything that you're ever gonna own, and we're taking it back to Las Vegas with us. See you next time. That's when you start getting hated, because you're inflicting pain on another fan base, and unfortunately, the Raiders just haven't been able to do that over the last for a long time, on a consistent basis.
On offense, it really feels like the only person is the JPJ to kind of exude that same thing that Max does. And again, success, to your point, Vinny, I agree with you. Wins have to be, that's how you back it up, is with wins. But like in terms of actual players that could be that, beyond the success, like just the individuals and personalities that we know, it feels pretty limited on this team in terms of being hated. But again, maybe that all changes when the wins come.
Right, because we haven't seen it in that through that lens.
Right,
and of course, Jackson Powers Johnson, he just needs to stay on the field first and foremost.
That's what I mean, because he's the perfect prototype for that, at least on the offensive side. He does the gritty, the sandpaper stuff. He's in the trenches. He's just has that personality where he's going to talk across to you.
He crosses some lines.
Yeah, he's jumping on dog piles. I mean, what are we talking about? We've seen it. Let's call it what it is. He's jumping on dog piles.
Right.
What did Kubiak say? He plays through the echo of the whistle. Sometimes that echo goes down the hallways inside the stadium that you can't hear.
But that goes to the point to, like, when you think about what are some of the most hated players, it's those guys who do the extra bit. It's the Ndamukong Suhs out there. It's the Vontaze Burficts. And it's not because they're not, again, I'm not advocating to go out there and try to hurt somebody, but it's the people who play through the whistle, like you say, through the echo of the whistle. They tend to go sometimes a little too far. I remember a lot of people hated A.J. Brown when he was first coming out of Tennessee because he was a really physical receiver. When he would block you, he wanted to bring you to the sideline, put you down into the sideline. Like, that's the type of stuff that fans, I think, they hate. Other players hate to go against, but
for sure.
It's just that extra bit that you exert.
We just need some more hate. I like to be positive, Vinny. I like to keep it positive.
Well,
but between the white lines, I need a little bit of hate.
To quote the architect, just win, baby. That's what it all boils down to. Just win, baby. And all of that, the success, the hate, the jealousy, all of those feelings will start really percolating amongst fan bases that knock heads with the Raiders. And my hope is that it gets to that point. It's frustrating that it hasn't. Covering this team and interacting with the fans like we do, because there's some some longtime fans who do remember a time where the Raiders were hated, and they were hated for all the reasons that we just expressed, including their ability to do all of their swashbuckling, all their playing through the whistle, all their shenanigans, making you know that you're in a game against them, and for not just that Sunday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're still feeling it, and at the end of the day, still being able to point to the scoreboard and said, not only did we inflict all of that on you, we put the ultimate pain on you by beating you again and beating you down for everybody to see. And I want that for Raider Nation for them to be able to express themselves and be a hated fan base across the league, because that's another conversation. When you go marching into somebody's stadium, kind of like some fan bases have done at Allegiant Stadium, when you can be part of that be among the hated along with your team, now you're cooking with oil, and I do think that's around the corner for the Raiders, and I can't wait to see how that's received and absorbed from fan bases across the NFL when the Raiders are not just loud and proud, but delivering the goods as well. It's going to change things considerably.
Feels like a perfect segue into our resident Raiders historian up on the line, 702-365-9200. Raider 66, good morning. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, good morning, guys. Well, thank you for that conversation you just had, were all the points I was going to make. So thanks for taking my call. Have a good day. No, just kidding. You guys, it was like I'm watching my notes right here as you guys are talking. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, hate is a byproduct of success. And in sports, as you get a little bit older, hate basically equates to respect, because you don't really have that ultimate respect for teams that you keep beating over and over and again. And you're right. I mean, the Raiders had that in spades. I mean, there were so many hated players on the Raiders back in the day. It was absolutely crazy. Hey, Romanowski and Lyle Alzado, I hated them until they became Raiders, and I was like,
sure,
they're on my team now, so that was a good thing. But the Patriots, the most hated Raider probably would have been Jack Tatum because of the Stingley deal, and of course you've got the Steelers and Atkinson. But right now you're absolutely right. The Raiders don't have the success, so you can have a 3-touchdown game like Brock did. And it's like, so what? We still won. So there's not going to be any of those bad feelings there. But my feeling as a fan, the number one hated guy, all due respect to your conversation with him, Vinny, Travis Kelce. I mean, that guy just kills the Raiders every single time. He's played, I had to look it up, and I don't know if this is an up-to-date, accurate thing, but he's played 24 games against the Raiders, had 134 receptions, for over 1,640 yards and 12 touchdowns. Yeah, how many times do we say we need somebody that can cover Kelce? I mean, he's just I just can't get him out of my head right now. It's just very, very frustrating.
And as it turns out, it's only Father Time. As it turns out, is going to be the one that covers Kelce.
Exactly. And, most of these guys, if you go and have, sit down at a have a beer with them or a conversation with them, they're going to be great people. But it's when they get between those white lines that the thread comes in. And it's because of that success against you. And talking about other sports, you were talking to Snake Man, I think, about the Cosmos and the NASL. You're absolutely right, Vinny. It folded for a reason. I mean, the Cosmos, they had that period. I had to look it up. There was like from the late 70s to early 80s, they were averaging like 50,000 fans. But the league averaged 13 to 14,000 per game. So,
right.
The Cosmos were doing well, but everybody else was struggling a little bit. And then JPJ, if the Raiders start winning because of that plays through the echo thing, he could be the new Conrad Dobler, because I could see him being somebody's a dartboard right there and somebody that they don't want to face. A player who had a lot of success and brought a lot of notoriety to the Los Angeles area, I want to say had a much more negative influence on the country of Canada, Wayne Gretzky. When he came to Los Angeles, I think Canada was having days of mourning, weeks of mourning. I think they had the legislature wanted to pass a law that he had to stay in Canada. I mean, that was such a huge loss and such a big effect, negative effect for Canadian hockey that I think it still rubs them the wrong way. And as far as teams go in the past, You're right. When they're having success against you, because the Raiders were always up there, and they were always knocking at the door, but they always had that roadblock. First it was the Dolphins. Hated them. And then it was the Steelers. Hated them, too. The Dolphins, they had that undefeated season. What I hated so much about it is that as a Raider fan, we always think we get short end of the refs' calls, and a lot of times we do. But the Dolphins always got the benefit, it seemed like, and it was because their coach, Don Shula, was on the competition committee, and I don't think anybody wanted against him. But the thing that galled me on that undefeated season, if you got just one more minute, at the end of the season, Mercury Morris finished with 991 yards. Larry Zonka was over 1,000. They went back through all the tapes. I watched all the tapes, and they saw in one of the games that Mercury Morris took a pitch out from Greasy and fumbled the ball. He was given a 9-yard loss. Well, they went through and said, that's on the quarterback. They credited Morris with the 9 yards, gave him 1,000 for the season, and they were the first team ever, and they promoted this with 2,000-yard running backs in the same season. That ticked me off so much that I still remember it from 1972. That somebody would go through all of the tape to find the 9-yard loss and give them the 1,000 yards. I am still just disgusted by that because I hated the Dolphins so much. Thank you for the time and indulging me. I appreciate it. I'm going to calm down now, and you guys have a great day, and go Raiders.
66, you are one of one.
You too, Raiders 66.
You are one of one.
Those running backs ended up going to the WFL too. Can you imagine that? The 2,000-yard. I think and you throw Jim Kick in there, Mercury Morris, and Larry Zonka. It was quite the backfield for the Miami Dolphins. And I want to say all three of them they got into contract disputes with the Miami Dolphins, and ended up signing with the World Football League. So different times back then. Can you imagine going back and changing a statistic like that? That's
wild.
I don't know that that's ever happened.
That is wild. I don't know what's wild, that happened or that 66 is still fuming about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, we got more tickets to give away here on the other side. It's the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR 920 AM. Let's dig in to the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back inside the Morning Tailgate. Let's see, who is this? Who are you? Who are you on the text line? 702-365-9200. Mitch says, good morning, Tailgate. Raider 66 is one of my favorite callers. Always dropping the knowledge. Fantastic. Love listening to you three, but when you add them in the mix, it's something special. It is something special. I love it. Go Raiders. Mitch, we appreciate you. And we appreciate 66. His knowledge is unrivaled. Vinny, again, the fact that he is still fuming, and that's the beauty. That is the, what do they call the range? They call it with actors, the range they have. That's the range of 66. He can still be pissed off about a record in 1972 and still have as much hate and anger and discernment for Travis Kelce continuing to do what he does over the Raiders in the now. Like, that's range if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, Raider fan, and the fandom has spanned decades. And you know, in his case, he saw the greatest heights of this organization, and there's still many fans like him that do remember those times. And while I wasn't a fan, I remember those times, and I can honestly say that the Raiders were. I mean, arguably, they were top 3 most hated teams. Vince, you know, unfortunately don't have a comprehension of that because you just weren't there to actually see it. But for those of us that did, they were an extremely hated team. And if you're a fan of the team that's being hated, it's for all the right reasons. You're like, bring that hate on. It obviously was because they were winning. If they were just been doing their shenanigans and known for all their swashbuckling ways and all that, it would have been, again, that's cute, but doesn't mean anything. Not only were they doing all of those types of things, they were putting a whooping on people, and it really did create a lot of hate, and it's the kind of hate that you want.
It is. It is the kind of hate you know. There's the phrase "love to hate." There's another one, "love to be hated."
Yeah,
because there's something about that just makes you kind of I say retreat within your own team. And there's a solidarity and camaraderie.
It's an us against them mentality
that can't be duplicated, right? Like everybody can say us against everybody, but until you feel those walls close in on you, it's hard to really get that tight knit closeness that again only few have. And while I never got to experience it, I was baptized in that history. Very much so. 702-365-9200 is the number. We're going to continue the conversation into our number 3 most hated players for the Raiders. Most hated players in the NFL for you. Past, present, maybe even the future. But right now I want to give a couple more tickets. Connor's got 2 tickets to see Smash Mouth on America's birthday, the 4th of July at the Sahara. What caller you want, Connor?
Let's see if they're on their toes. Give me caller number 3.
Oh, okay. Caller number 3, a pair of tickets could be yours to see Smash Mouth. All you got to do is call 702-365-9200 right here in the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
I'll just tell the Raider Nation that we have to earn your trust. We got to earn those seats in the stands by putting a great product on the field. Words will not do it. It's our actions.
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's hour number 3 here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the Silver and Black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, coming to you live from Las Vegas on a Thursday, June 25th, 2026. 4 weeks from today, Raiders rookies report for training camp. The countdown continues for the Silver and Black, getting back on the field, which we are all anxiously awaiting. Until then, we continue to fill our days with positivity. And how do we do that? We figure out who's the most hated guy in the NFL. At least for the Raiders. Up on the text line, we got a few candidates here. Vinny, where is it? Found it. Uncle Woodrow says, I got a couple athletes I don't care for. In the NFL, it's Travis Kelce. It's mostly because of the Swifties. LOL. In the NBA, it's LeBron. Don't like how he never competed in a dunk contest and is always resting. In the W, it's Caitlin Clark. Fans, LOL. She isn't as good as they think she is. I think she is a great player, by the way. How about that? Uncle Woodrow just brought all of our topics together in one text. Is LeBron never joined a dunk contest?
No, I don't think he ever did. No.
What? What's his problem? Why is that so unattractive for
because if you lose, you have to hear about that for the rest of your career. If you're Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, you're in this debate of the GOAT. Do you really want to have people bring up that one time you lost a dunk championship or a dunk contest?
As uber confident as these athletes are, that's their one vulnerable. They're like, what if I don't win? What?
Not everyone's Matt McClung. I can't believe I said that.
I just can't believe you said that either. That's a drop right there. That's a drop if I've ever heard it.
By the way, LeBron doesn't rest. I know that there's been some load management throughout his career, but he averages 37.6 minutes per game, which is incredibly high for somebody that's played 23 seasons. So I'm not on that bandwagon. When he plays, he plays. And I'm going to go look at his game logs. It's been an incredible run for him. So you may not like him because going from one team to another, looking for championships. He's not the first or only that's ever done that. But the rest thing, I'm not. I don't see that one.
The dynamic of the dunk contest, Vinny, and maybe you can help spell it out a little bit better because I just don't understand it. It is the one part of All-Star Weekend that fans are most excited for. Is that fair? It was the draw. It was never the game, even when they actually played the game. The draw was the dunk contest. And it feels like the one thing the fans are like drawn to the most, the best stars don't want to participate in. If it's,
not anymore, no.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, Connor, but if that is the reason, that's a real soft reason. Because they don't want to get chirped at in the room for losing a dunk contest. It doesn't make any sense to me. For a league that is supposed to be not only sport but entertainment, that is the one time you get to be as creative and do all the things you want. The last guy who really kind of owned it was Blake Griffin. Is that fair?
Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. I would say that was probably.
But I would also
that set the bar so high.
In defense of the of players like LeBron, and he's not the only star player.
Yeah. Now I'm asking just in general.
You got to understand. And I've been at NBA All-Star games. These guys are getting pulled in a million different. There's a lot that goes on to an All-Star weekend when everyone else in the league is getting their rest. That didn't make the All-Star game. When you're the top of the top, there are so many obligations. I know that this is probably going to fall on deaf ears, but between your sponsors, between who you endorse, the parties for all the people that you endorse, there's NBA Players Association meetings that are going on that weekend. There's all sorts of obligations. There's all sorts of interviews. There's the game itself. It's a power-packed 3 days of wall-to-wall, never basically sleeping, stuff that you're doing and obligated to do because of who you are. So for a lot of these star players, one more thing of taxing themselves when they have another half of a season and the playoffs to think about. To me, I'm with them on the slam dunk contest. At the end of the day, it's a dunk contest. We've seen all those guys, dunk before, and also it does open the door for some younger players to get a little shine and get a little extra cash in their pocket. LeBron doesn't need the money, so it used to have its place, but that was before the kind of explosion that's happened and how big these weekends have become. Again, I know it's, hey, cry me a river, Vinny. You're a professional athlete. Deal with it. Suck it up. But it is a very taxing weekend, and adding one more element to that is I think I get why those guys aren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, I don't disregard how taxing it can be, and this is where we'll just agree to disagree. But again, the reason why you are making what you are able to make, you are able to have the opportunities, you have the opportunities to do so, are because of those obligations. You get those sponsorships because you put on a show. I get it that All-Star Weekend is not the regular season. It's not what you're vying for when you're in the summer and the off season. But when that's part of your job, to me, the sponsorships, the interviews, that does fall deaf on my ears, because
and that is part of your job.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, so for me, and again, it's my perspective of it. Again, the reason why they are afforded the opportunities and the league makes as much money is because of the stars and do what they do. If you're going to have a weekend like this, and you are selected and you go, you have to be, not have to, but you should be part of it. And I just don't like that they're all there but not participating. If you're not going to be there to do it, don't be there. My biggest thing is...
Well, they are playing in the game. I mean, the game itself, that's why they're there. And they all do play in the actual game, which, by the way, is different than a lot of other sports.
Yeah.
Football players just completely, kick that to the curb.
And that's at the end of the season. And that's at the end of their season. So, again, I do have some... I have some grace that it is in the midst of their season and that it is, not necessarily what they're getting paid to do, but again, those ads and those sponsors that lift the league and allow those salaries to be paid, that becomes part of the deal, however you slice it. And if you're telling me one more thing is they can't dunk the ball 3 times and you don't even have to come up with it. Somebody else can be like, hey, can we try this? Sure. I don't personally like. Because I didn't even realize that LeBron wasn't even in any of the dunk contests.
That's how much you cared. That's how much you cared about.
Well, that's what I mean.
At the end of the day,
if I don't know who's in it, that I don't watch it. And I haven't watched an NBA All-Star Weekend in years for that very reason.
I watch all the slam dunk contests. I like seeing the younger players and the guys that I don't necessarily know about and what they've got up their sleeve. To me, it's a great opportunity for them. And quite honestly, I don't know that we've seen anything new recently. Like, once you see Michael Jordan jump from, I guess people are topping things nowadays, but then that's the other part. There's some high-risk dunks that are being tried now. I don't know if I'm the Lakers or the whatever. Name me a team that I even want my star player, participating in that. Again, it is, and it's not just the weekend. If you're going to take care of it, if you're going to go out there and actually take it seriously, which a lot of these players do, there's practicing that you do behind the scenes. You're not going to go out there and embarrass yourself. That's not the time to do that. Where I'm just going to go wake up today and go do a slam dunk contest. If they're going to do it, they're going to really do it, and that means there's going to be preparation time, which is more, taxing, more that we're talking about. So, from a fan's perspective, would I have liked to have seen LeBron be in one slam dunk contest? Sure, but I'm not gonna sit here and hold it against him. Number one, and I understand exactly why, and I'm not gonna sit here and say, for the money that you're making, you should do that. He's going to the game. He's showing up in the weekend. He's doing all the interviews. He's going to all the parties. They all are, and they are participating.
Oh, they got to go all to the parties. Oh man, that's rough. That's rough.
Vince, when other guys.
That's the part
when the rest of the league, when the rest of the league is in Cabo, actually getting a chance to take a little bit of a break. That I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna say, hey, look, enough is enough. Like, there's
But that's what I'm saying. If you're not gonna do it, don't go. Go to Cabo.
They are going. They play in the game. That's one part of it. But
I'm saying you can't just do one part and not the other. That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna be there, be there.
For everything? They got to do everything, Vince?
Yeah.
Not why?
That's why people are paying to see them.
I don't agree with that.
You don't think people are going to All-Star Weekend and doing all that stuff to see the stars?
Well, yeah, so obviously, but they get a chance to see the stars in the game. Everything else has been an add-on.
So here's
not.
Wait. This is what I'm saying. I'm simply just talking about, like.
And they're supposed to do it every year?
The dunk contest. Like, for me,
every year LeBron's got to do it?
Listen to what I'm saying before you just start arguing.
You're telling me that they got to do everything.
What I'm saying is, from my perspective, because see what I did? Launch slam dunk contest. This launched from a lack of star power in the dunk contest. I don't care about the game, to be honest with you. If players are going to be there for All-Star Weekend, I want them in as everything. I do want them in everything because that's why they're there. That's what fans are paying to see, the All-Stars that are voted on by the fans to be at all these events. That's my personal opinion. But this conversation started with, I want more star power in the slam dunk contest. I haven't watched in years because there has been no star power, in my opinion, in the slam dunk contest. And why I don't care about them playing a game. For me, this is just me personally. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I don't care about the All-Star game as much as I care to watch the slam dunk contest, because to me, that's more entertaining. I got another half of the NBA season to watch them play a basketball game where I know they're going to put in effort. So I don't necessarily care about that. I'm simply saying I would rather them put more effort toward the fun stuff, which is the slam dunk contest, which is, what do they call it, the obstacle course, or the what is it?
Skills competition.
The skills competition where they
and a lot of them do that, and a lot of them do the 3-point.
But we have not. What we're saying is we have not seen the stars in the slam dunk contest.
That's one. Yes,
that's to me the most important. That's what I'm saying. My personal perspective is the most fun to watch is that slam dunk contest.
All right, I disagree. I mean, I get it, but I don't expect LeBron to do. You're basically implying that all the star players have to do it every single year. Right?
If they get voted on and they're getting paid,
they're not getting voted to the slam dunk contest. They're getting voted to play in the NBA All-Star Game. That's what the vote is for. There's no vote for a skills competition. There's no vote for a three-point. Okay,
then I guess my issue is I don't care about the game. I want to see the fun stuff.
That's you.
That's what I just said.
But I know that, Vince. But there are a lot of great players that are participating in the skills competition, in the three-point competition.
Who won the last 3 skills competition?
I don't know, and I don't necessarily care.
That's
Damian Lillard, I believe.
Yes,
or 3-point competition. It was the skills.
Yeah, one of the biggest stars of the game. Yeah, but if you do watch it, a lot of those, it's not something that registers probably for a lot of people. The 3-point contest does, and a lot of the stars, basically the best 3-point shooters are participating in that, right? So, it's just the slam dunk contest, and I think that there's a reason for that because that is the most taxing thing that you're going to probably do that weekend, and if there's a way to get yourself a little bit of slice of I'm not gonna exert myself to that extent. You do have to look at it from that perspective if you're being real about it, because it is a taxing situation. I think that's the fundamental reason why a lot of the guys said I'm not gonna put myself through that on a weekend that's supposed to be part fun, part relaxation, and then going out and playing the game. That's what the fans vote for, is the game. There's no vote for any of those other events.
Dame up on the text line says LeBron doesn't have the menu of dunks to compete. It's a guaranteed loss. I'm with Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. Best dunk contest ever.
Yeah,
that is probably the last one I remember.
Yeah,
going back and forth.
And he isn't. I mean, because of his size and all that, he's a power dunker. But he's never been like one of those. We talk about, Vince, the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
But there are 1% of the 1% of the guys that can go high fly in and do creative things. And I kind of would rather see those guys. Like I loved seeing, LaVine and Aaron and some of these other guys that have won dunk contests over the years, and seeing the creativity that they have and just their high flying. Skills. I never looked at LeBron James as that kind of a player. He was like a great scorer, a great passer, a physical player, and just a tremendous all-around player. But it was never about the dunks for him. Whereas Michael Jordan was an all-time dunker. Dominique Wilkins was that's what they were known for. That
MJ ruined it, I think.
Yeah. But I don't like.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then I apologize. But the fan vote for All-Star is the entirety of the weekend. It's not just the game. Am I wrong on that?
Yes. Well, I just looked up right here. So when we there's a reason why we couldn't remember who won the skills competition. That's because they changed it. They got rid of it. This last year, what they did was the shooting stars competition, where they had 3 different teams of, it looks like 3 players. So you had
and they incorporated the dub, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So, and then they had kind of like the WNBA in there. They had the deeper shots, kind of testing your range, and that was their variation of doing the skills challenge this year. But that just goes to show that, again, I think you guys are both right. As far as the game goes, you do want to see the best players. Like if we're looking at today's stars, I want to see Giannis and Jokic. I want to see Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, who are ironically teammates now. I want to see some of the biggest stars playing that game. But you're right. When it comes to a dunk contest, would it be more entertaining, again, to bring him up, Mac McClung, to watch him slam the ball rather than LeBron James per se at 40?
And I also think it's an opportunity to build. If you're looking at it from the NBA's perspective, it's also an opportunity to give other people some shine and to build other players. And no, they're not voted like there are players, Vince, in the slam dunk contest that weren't voted.
You're right. The vote is strictly for the game. So I apologize. You were right on that. The NBA invites the other contestants for the skills, the 3-point, and the dunk. Okay, so then I guess my argument would be I don't necessarily need to see them in an all-star game. I would rather see the stars in those events where they shine the most. And I know LeBron was just the text that we got, so that's what made me think, I can't believe he's never been in a dunk contest. But I just mean like in any of the premier stars, I would like to see them in those events. I don't this is, again, maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I'm the uber minority, and that's fine. I'm good with that. But I don't need to see them in an all-star game. I would like to see the stars be stars and show off their either athleticism, creativity. If it is the skills competition, or if they do something new with the 3-point contest, or however they do it with the dunk contest.
I love the 3-point contest. The 3-point contest is the purest thing to me. I absolutely love it.
And the 3-point contest is generally where you do see the stars. That's where Kevin Durant will play or participate. You'll see Steph Curry participate.
That's
exactly,
but
right?
They don't have to. That's what I mean. Like,
but there's not. It's not.
I guess I just want the performers to perform.
It doesn't have the menu of moves because you're just shooting the ball.
And that's why, I always go back.
High skill.
When you go back to the NFL, especially, remember the old school Pro Bowl? Where it was the day leading up to it, or they had days leading up to it, where they would take the guys, and I just remember, the Drew Brees and the, where they had the football, and they had the clay on the other side, and they're hitting the moving targets. They've kind of brought that back a little bit in the last couple years, but those were I never cared about the game. I don't need to see them play in another game. I wanted the stars to be able to show off what makes them 1% of the 1%. Like when it was Adam Vinatieri, one of my favorite things was when the kickers were doing these weird trick shot kicks on the beach or whatever, and they were doing it from cross fields and different things like that, trying to hit targets. Like, I just wanted to see them show their craft in a different way. I guess that's all it really comes down to for me, is I want to see the stars be able to jump out of the gym. You know what I mean? Like in a different way.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I get it, but I still think the game itself has some merit. That's what I like to see. I mean, I like the 3-point shooting contest. I love the slam dunk contest because I like to see the younger generation of players, and that's typically what it is. And that's when you start getting to know the Aaron Gordons and the Levines and all those players. Like, oh my gosh, that guy could jump out of the gym. And and again, for me, LeBron and some of these guys, Kevin Durant, like, what players do you have to see in the NBA slam dunk contest? And are they even dunkers? Are they even the upper echelon dunkers? I think that what the league has
that'd
done,
be a good subcategory, the non-dunkers in a dunk contest.
I think it would be kind of boring. I think it would be kind of boring. I want to see the guys. I want to see the guys in the league that are the 1% of the 1%, and I do think if you should check it out and watch it next year to see guys that you probably don't.
I'll give it another go, Vinny. I'll give it another go.
Right.
It's just. I'll give it another go. I'm all about fun. Okay, guys? I'm just trying to have some fun.
There's a lot of fun, man. There's a lot of fun.
Well, it's the summer fun. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Raider Nation Radio 920 Terribles are bringing back the summer of fun as we celebrate America 250. You have a chance to get an escape of sorts to places and have some great adventures like in Hawaii, the Grand Canyon, Sedona, Yellowstone National Park, Southern California theme park trips, or maybe a great Mississippi River cruise. Staycation, anyone? How about just take home the cash? $3,000. It is your choice. All you got to do is keep listening to the keyword of the day. Be ready to text in 702-365-9200 to get in and win. Summers are meant to be fun. The Summer of Fun brought to you by Terribles and Raider Nation Radio 920. This week's Summer of Fun trip is a bundle package between Boston and Philly, 5-night stay, airfare to historic cities. You got to do the Paul Revere Walk if you're in Boston. Connor, I know you're heading up there in a couple months. It is some great fun. So all you got to do is text in the keyword of the day on this day, Thursday, June 25th, 2026, and the keyword of the day is
freedom.
Freedom. The key word of the day is freedom. Text in freedom, FREEDOM, to 702-365-9200, and you are entered for a chance to win right here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
Welcome back inside the morning tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Where'd it go? These texts are flying in. Everybody wants that summer of fun. Boston, nice. Philly. You've been to Boston and Philly, Vinny?
Of course.
Boston is unreal.
Love Boston.
I was telling Connor because Connor is going up to Boston this fall, right? That's right, Connor?
Yeah, I'll be going up this October.
First time. So I was telling him how I did the a couple years back. It's the Paul Revere walk, right? I think it's called the Freedom Walk now.
Yep.
Where you just follow his path, and it was put your walking shoes on. It's a long way, but it is a blast. There's bars everywhere. If you get tired, you need to get thirsty. You need to hydrate. However you need to hydrate, Connor, you do that. They're there for you. But Boston's a cool city. A lot of history. It's a cool place. So, text in keyword freedom. 702-365-9200. Up on the text line. Again, today, Vinny, it's been a nice little hodgepodge of topics. Yeah. It's not bad. It's good stuff. Good conversation. I love it.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Ruben up on the text line says, good morning, fellas. I would have to say one of the most hated guys for the Raiders would be Derwin James. But yeah, Mahomes would be number one. Derwin James, I guess that's a dark horse name I would not have. Why do we hate Derwin James other than he's just really good on a rival team? Is that
probably?
Did I miss something?
It's just the Chargers have been a little more successful recently, obviously than the Raiders, but it's not like they've been
far and away
the bane of everybody's existence. Right?
That's a great phrase.
By the way, Vince,
yeah.
I'm looking back at the all-time, every year's, slam dunk, because you got my
curiosity
imagination running, curiosity running, and it really has been. Obviously Michael Jordan participated in it, but back then Michael Jordan was the most ferocious dunker in the NBA. Like that was his thing.
Yeah.
All right. Dominique Wilkins was the premier dunker, along with Michael Jordan of his time, Dr. J, and then Vince Carter was.
That was my entrance into everything.
All right, but if you look at the history of it, it was pretty much exclusive for the guys that were the high flyers of that particular time. Your Larry Nance's, the Dominique's, and there were far more. Guys that you probably have never even heard of, even during those times. So it wasn't like it was the stars of the stars. It was the best dunkers of their particular time. Kobe Bryant participated in exactly one, and he won it. It was his rookie year, and then he never did it again. I guess he felt like, all right, I did my thing. I don't have to go. It's only down from there, or trying to win it, or trying to be more creative. But it literally has been a competition among. Each year, the guys that are the high flyers of the NBA, and not necessarily the biggest names of the NBA.
The Vince Carter one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I remember this, but this is what I remember. After that, I was in it might have been a Target, a Walmart, whatever I was in, and I remember saying I need the NBA pencil pack. At wherever I was to my parents, because I wanted the Toronto Raptors emblem pencil because of what Vince Carter did. Like, how crazy is that? I just remember that's what that did to me, and I was like, I guess I'm all Toronto Raptors because it's not going to get any better than what he just did. That's the greatest thing I ever saw to that point. It was the coolest thing I had ever seen at a sporting event. And then just the done thing at the camera, unbelievable. And I guess maybe that's again, that's why I said maybe this is just a personal thing, and I'm in the minority, and that's fine if I am. But that's the nostalgia of it for me. That was the tops of the tops, and I want to relive that. I want to re-see that kind of feeling over and over, and that's why really my last memory of somebody trying to do that is like Blake Griffin over the car. And I know people look back at that and being like, it wasn't even really over a car. It was like and to me, that's not the point of it. It was just the showmanship of, oh my God, here a car is rolling in right now on the court. This is different. This is cool. And maybe there is a ceiling
to that. Like, there's only so many things you can do. You can't rappel down from the top of an arena.
There's still some pretty, but that's the thing, Vince. There's still some pretty. If you watch it, I don't know when the last one you watched, but there's still some creative things going on with these younger players.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to give it another whirl. I'm going to give it another.
Vince Carter only won. He only participated in one for all as much of a memory.
And that's all I needed. Same with Kobe. I remember watching Kobe's dunk highlight from that dunk contest, being like, man, he's the coolest. But you just said he only did one.
Yeah.
In my memory, he did like 1,000. So,
right.
So maybe that's all I need. Maybe it's just time. Maybe it's just time passing and things jumble.
Because here's and Vince Carter's year was pretty good. Steve Francis, he was a smallish guy, but had serious hops. His cousin Tracy McGrady, Ricky Davis, Jerry Stackhouse, and Larry Hughes. And you go to the very next year. It's Desmond Mason. He won it. Deshaun Stevenson. I remember him from. He was from the Fresno area. Baron Davis, Stromile Swift, Jonathan Bender, and Corey Maggette. But every year it changed.
Ooh, Corey Maggette.
Yeah, Corey Maggette was. Yeah, exactly. And then it's Jason Richardson, Desmond Mason, Amari Stoudemire, Richard Jefferson. So it's guys do it one time basically, and LeBron just never, for whatever reason, just never did it, and for reasons that only he knows. But even if he had just done it once, that would have been great. He obviously didn't. But the typical star player and quote unquote dunker basically only did it one time. After the Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordans did it a few times. Once you got into about around the 90s, it was basically one and done for the top dunkers of their particular time.
How many? Let's see. I'm trying to look at something. How many players? There are 11 active NBA players who are 5'11" or shorter. I want all of them in the dunk contest or their own dunk contest.
Do they do shortened rims if they can't reach?
Definitely not.
Yeah, you got to
definitely not.
Packages?
If they can't, that's on them. That's part of it. You want to
try selling that to the fans. We got a dunk contest, but we can't guarantee that.
I think the fans would.
Let me go.
I think the fans would be like,
they would turn that off in a second.
No, I think the players would be like, I'm sick. I'm not showing up that day.
I'm not watching a 5'11" dude that can't dunk. Try to dunk.
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I want to see creativity. That's why I love the NBA slots. Bring
Fred
it.
Van Vliet and Kyle Lowry. They can't. No, Connor's saying they can't get up.
I think Fred Van Vliet can. I don't know if Kyle Lowry can anymore.
No. I love. There still is a real creative element to it if you give it an opportunity. Not just you, but other people, and seeing some of these young high flyers come in there and put their stamp, on the because all they could do is look at what's happened before, which has been vast, and try to put their spin on it. That's the cool thing I think of the slam dunk contest, and they're trying to put these next generation of high flyers are trying to put their stamp on what some of the what every other era of great slam dunkers was able to put on it during their time.
As someone who's vertically challenged, I was always a fan of the dunk contest because I was in awe. I was like, man, that'd be so cool. But all right, back to text line. George says, as a Raiders fan and Florida State fan, I can't imagine hating Derwin James. The Raiders had an opportunity to draft him, passed on him if I recall correctly, but can't remember who they drafted instead. Who did they take, Vinny? Who did they?
That would have been the 2020 draft or the 20. Let me hang on a second.
They did pass on him.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'll tell you.
I was looking at the text line. A couple names had both mentioned Marty Schottenheimer as a coach because of the old rivalry where he would just come at the Raiders. And
love that.
They were saying that they still hold that hate towards the Schottenheimer family.
Poor Schotty.
Poor Schotty.
Better not see them Cowboys. Brian's going to catch strays if he does.
Raider fans will come for him.
Fabian up on the text line says,
Colton Miller was drafted. At least they in
that draft.
Yeah.
Fabian says, good morning, tailgate. Raiders fans hate everyone. Fair. That is fair.
Oh, what about TJ saying Antonio Brown? I bet you there's a lot of Raider fans who have some tough feelings towards Antonio Brown in his time.
Who do they hate
here.
more, Antonio Brown or Randy Moss?
Probably AB.
I was going to say probably Randy.
No, I think Antonio really
it got ugly.
Really, yeah, it no, for sure. You can say, that Randy Moss quit and all that. I wasn't paying that much attention to it at the time, and I know that there was, those accusations. But in Antonio Brown, he like you traded for him, you put money into him. It was supposed to it came with a lot of fanfare, and then it just blew up in everybody's face, and it got personal. It got ugly. It sabotaged that entire training camp and really kind of affected
the hot
their
air
entire
balloon.
Season. Yeah,
the frozen foot.
That was I think far more that probably
what a disaster,
and all of it was on Hard Knocks.
What a disaster.
Yeah,
that was a part of the greatest Hard Knocks intro there's ever been with Gruden. I'm not into dreams, I'm into nightmares. Still, the greatest Hard Knocks intro in the history of Hard Knocks is that one, and it's not even close. Knock on some wood if you're with me. Let's see. There was another one I wanted to get to. Where'd you go? EB Raider Gray off the top of my head. Brash, arrogant, smarmy. Travis Kelce. Is Travis Kelce smarmy? That's an interesting description.
Yeah. We'll take it.
All right, we got one more giveaway today. Vinny, should we do one more?
Yes.
Okay. He thought about it, but he said yes.
I'm mesmerized by this 2018 draft, man. It was such a great draft. Seriously.
We'll talk about it in the final sit-down. But first, let's give away some tickets to the Battle for Vegas. It's the 7th annual VGK against the Raiders. Team Riley Smith versus Team Brock Bowers, a yearly charity softball game taking place at the ballpark at downtown Summerlin, home of the Aviators. First half champions, by the way. PCL, no big deal. Saturday, June 27th, Home Run Derby. Post-game fireworks, 2 teams full of pro athletes and celebs competing for charities that will help and benefit local Southern Nevada charities. Stay right here. Raider Nation Radio 920. Call in 702-365-9200. And we have tickets for you brought to you by Finley Mazda and the Valley Auto Mall and Raider Nation Radio 920. Be caller number.
Let's go with caller number 5.
Caller number 5, 702-365-9200. And a pair of tickets to the Battle for Vegas 7th annual charity softball event are yours for this weekend here on the Morning Tailgate. Raider Nation Radio 920. The final sit down is next.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
Oh, Paisan. Oh! Back up.
I'll talk to him about it.
I've been telling you for months now this guy's no good. I want to sit down.
All right. Answer the phone.
I want to sit down.
Hey! On Raider Nation Radio 920.
Oh!
It is the final sit down here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Big thanks to Raider Nation for being part of the conversation, as always, being part of our summer of fun. Connor, so many giveaways this weekend. What's your deal, man? Where's that giving spirit come from?
You know, when the higher-ups look down and they say, we got gifts to spread, that's where we like to come into play. And just a little tease, I'm not done.
Ooh!
There's going to be more throughout the week, so stay tuned.
All right. I like that. Vinny, you were just talking about how loaded that 2008, or other way to say it, 2008. 2008 draft was. Adam Schefter just said save the dates for next year. April 29th through May 1st will be the 2027 draft in Washington, D.C.
Yes, sir.
And the renderings of it look unbelievable.
Yeah, looking forward to that for sure. It was actually the 2018 NFL draft. Yep, no worries. Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold, Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Nelson. This is literally the order. Josh Allen, Roquan Smith, Mike McGlinchey, Josh Rosen, we could forget about him, Minka Fitzpatrick, Vita Vera, Darren Payne, Marcus Davenport, Colton Miller, Tremaine Edwards, Derwin James, Jair Alexander. Then we'll skip a few names there. DJ Moore,
Wait, I want to hear those. No, tell me those names.
Real quick, Calvin Ridley, Terrell Edmonds, Mike Hughes, and then the last pick of the first round was Lamar Jackson.
Who was the ones you skipped over?
Do I need to feel a type of way of him getting up to Leighton Vander Esch and then just stopping right before and jumping down?
Vander Esch is pretty. Vander Esch,
he had
Frank
a couple
Ragnow.
Good years.
There was some
doing all right until Trent Williams broke his neck.
Isaiah Wynn, but I mean that's a pretty high.
Yeah,
high
that's some names. Those are some good names there.
Right. You got Nelson's going to be a Hall of Famer. Lamar's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Sam Darnold, Super Bowl champion.
Derwin James is going to be Josh Allen's going to go to the Hall of Fame most likely.
Lamar Jackson, the final pick of that round too, right? Ravens traded back in. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
It was a good segue. Sorry, you said 2018. I said 2008. Either way, 2018. Field Yates responded to Schefter's tweet with the renderings of DC and all that, saying how, this class is loaded, in all caps. Talking about the 2027 draft class.
It is, yeah.
Man, does that... I don't want to skip this
I was actually supposed
season.
to be in New Orleans today and tomorrow for that Manning passing camp, because there's a lot. There really are. And Vince, I know we say, the quarterbacks, we talk about it every year.
Yeah.
This year.
This year for real.
For real.
But wait, but Vinny, I just want to say, I'm not skipping this season by any stretch. But we have come to an understanding, I think, at least on this show, that this is going to be a couple years, right? And you are building. You can't do everything as excited and as optimistic as you are for this season, and that can still hold true. What you could do in terms of building the roster, not only in free agency next year, but more so this draft in 2027, really feels like you can get some game changers to add to the young arsenal that is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, and I would keep an eye on
Jeremiah Smith.
I would keep an eye on wide receiver. And
if I were just to name one,
he's gonna. And there's. I mean, you want to go. There's some really good secondary players. There's some good defensive linemen. There's obviously some good wide receivers and quarterbacks. This is going to be a really, really good draft. It's shaping up as that. So a lot of ways that the Raiders are going to be able to, and every team really, are going to be able to help themselves in 2027.
I wonder how much the NFL is going to be able to pick and, I guess better than what UFC, the Freedom event, did. Connor, that one had a lot of challenges. I know a different time of the year a little bit, with the thunderstorms and things, and it was outdoors and it was on the lawn and all that. So I know this is going to be different in that it's not going to be at the White House, which would be crazy. But I wonder how much visually, the NFL is going to be able to learn from what that event did, right? Because I know you watched it just as I did, the UFC 250 Freedom event.
I think what's really interesting about how you can go about it is with the NFL draft, it's more so with a front stage where everybody can be behind it watching, whereas the UFC, you kind of have to have the center stage, everybody circled around it to give you a different view. The NFL, they do more of their presentation where everybody's looking from the front back. So I think that way you can use the space at the reflecting pool, things of that nature, try to fill out some of that area. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Dana set the bar high with what he did at UFC 250.
He had the athletes warming up in sitting rooms in the White House.
It was crazy.
That's
Justin Gaethje stared down the Declaration of Independence before walking out to fight Ilya.
Bonkers, man. Absolutely bonkers. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. And it's gonna be, as we've talked about, absolutely loaded. I had something else that I wanted to get to. I wanted to ask you, Vinny, Mookie Betts. 300 home runs. How surprising is that? That number with Mookie Betts.
He's just a consistent home run hitter. Always in that 25 to 35 range, basically, and a couple seasons of even more than that. He's been a high level player for a long time. So not a surprise For me, he's been a thorn in everybody's side for a long time and been one of the more consistent players, and done it at multiple positions, going from the outfield to the infield and vice versa. So good for him. He's been a tremendous, not only a tremendous player, but a great ambassador for the game, and two great franchises in the Boston Red Sox and the LA Dodgers, and has done it with a lot of class too.
Yeah, there's no real segue to that. It was just something that I wanted to bring up because I know, at least for me, it was like, oh man, he got to 300. That's very impressive. I just don't associate Mookie Betts with, I guess, as much power as I should for being as consistent of a hitter as he is.
For sure.
Shame on me. But hey, you don't win or lose, Vinny. You win or learn.
Yes, exactly.
And today was a learn day. I don't know what we want to call today, Vinny, but it was a good day. Fun day.
It was a good day. It's been a good day, and it's going to be a great day, too.
Good sports talk radio. Enjoy the rest of your day, Raider Nation. Hey, stay up late. Support the U.S.